So, where do I start? As you can see in the title, I've been working on something for the last 8 months, and that's surprising my best friend with a trip. This journey can't be covered in just one video, so this is part 1 of 3 and how it all began. And man, I'm not going to lie, it was a journey. So let's start here. My best friend, her name is Rebekah. And when I was 3 years old, we went to the same kindergarten and church, but we grew up together. And there was a point where she even left her dream high school to attend my high school just so that we could at least have each other's backs. And that was super, super sweet for me. In university, after we had graduated from high school, we made a pact to tour Europe. And at random, we selected 5 countries. And somehow we decided to call our future trip Euro 2020. Unfortunately, that never happened, and we kind of know why. And because she moved to Europe to do her degree, she had visited 4 out of the 5 countries already. However, there's still one that she hasn't visited yet, and that is where our story begins. August 11, 2022. So she went on a trip to Spain with her family, and that was one of the 5 countries that we decided that we wanted to go. So while she was on that trip, I was in my bed thinking, that leaves only one country, Italy. I decided on that day that I'm going to plan a whole trip to Italy without her knowing and surprise her with it. Funny enough, I live in Canada and she lives all the way in Scotland, so I had no idea how I was going to execute this without her finding out. Then by October 2022, I made sure that I reached out to her pastor via email. Let's call this pastor John. For John, it wasn't really difficult to find him because I knew what his first name was. I had no idea what his last name was, and I knew that she attended a church that was close by where she lived. Now, I had to literally look at every single church in that area. I had to do a lot of research in the month of October. Not only that, I also had called a friend who helped me to start the planning of the trip in September. By this time, I came up with a somewhat brilliant plan within my mind about what would actually happen. I said this is going to be the year to go to Italy in June 2023. My initial plan was to just show up at her school. I would have been in her supervisor's office when they call her in, and I would spin around and say hi, and just bam, fly her off to Italy. Needless to say, that never exactly happened. So I had no budget and no plan by this time of October 2022. While I thought in my mind this would have been a very good plan to directly tell her to save the last country on our list so that we can go together. The main reason is because I didn't want that I bought the ticket and everything and she had already flew off or something had happened and I just couldn't execute the surprise completely. And needless to say, she clearly said no. So now she also showed me by this time in November 2022 a video that she found on Instagram that convinced her that she needs to go to Italy on her birthday. And her birthday is in April. April is much closer than actual June, and I'm not gonna lie, I froze in the midst of the conversation because I just did not know how to react. And I couldn't say that I'm planning a surprise. I realized at this moment I couldn't do this on my own, and I needed external help more than I thought I did. And this is where on December 8th, I contacted one of her friends, and we're going to call her friend Ariel. So I contacted Ariel. Ariel had not met me, and I had to make sure that this was the correct Ariel. So I had to make sure I connect. I did my research and investigations, and I concluded that this was Ariel. And I sent her a DM on Instagram, and that is where this part started. So I made sure that we jumped on a call the same day as December 8th, and we had a discussion about what this whole plan to Italy might look like. And by this time, her pastor still had not reached me. No, and lo and behold, the same day of December 8th was also when I got a reply from John. And when he did, he said, we'll keep in touch. And we did. And we even had a Zoom call, which was kind of cool as well. Now we're in January of 2023. Now this is where everything gets really, really, really complicated. There were so many things that happened in this month that became, it was a whole thing. Now my friend thinks that she's going on a trip with her friends to Italy. Now this took a little bit of convincing, because honestly, it took a lot of convincing. I'm not even going to front about that. That took a lot of convincing, because there was even a moment where we had to end up getting her significant other to actually, he ended up taking her to a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and she loved it, and she was convinced that she had to go to Italy. And I love the fact that he messaged Ariel, she messaged me, and I knew that it was going to happen. So now she believes that she's going on a trip to Italy with her friends, and not knowing that her friends will not be there. Really, they will be there, but I'm going to be the friend she's going on with this trip. That was the ultimate plan we came up with. And her friend Ariel jumped on the wagon and decided to tell her that, hey, we're going to Italy, pack your bags, we're doing this now, you better say yes or no, let me know. That leap of faith started the catalyst for everything that is about to go down. So I don't have a Canadian passport, and my passport requires that I need to get a visa to enter the Schengen area. So Italy is within the Schengen area, and Europe and the UK is a different visa altogether. And the thing is, because Canadians have the access with their passport to go to all of these areas without a visa because of the power of the passport, hardly any passport company or immigration office that was up here dealt with Schengen visas. I called over 24 immigration passport consultant places, and not one of them could help me. None of them did these kind of visas. So I had to try and figure it out on my own with Ariel. So the second problem is that I had to, what I've come to understand is that when you're applying for a Schengen visa, you have to apply through the country that you are first entering through. And so what happened was that I was going to go to Italy. And not only that, you also have to make sure you have the ticket booked, and on the form you have to complete the form and everything. You have to show that you have the ticket, what the reservation is, where you're going to be staying. All of that has to be on the form before you can even get an appointment. This was the first hurdle of so many. And not only that, a lot of places in Ontario, you had to make sure you had a work permit and a bunch of other things to qualify to prove that you can do this. If you could not, you had to fly back to your country and do it. And I was not prepared to fly back to Jamaica. No. That is too expensive of a cost. And not only that, you can't fill the form out online, you have to do it in person. So everything has to be carried in person in documents. But you had to make sure you booked appointment online. And guess what? There was no available appointment until May 6th. None whatsoever. And the website, by the way, the website for the Italian embassy was so chunky and clunky, and we didn't know what to do. We ended up even contacting the consulate of Italy in order for us to figure this out. Of course, as I said, you had to book the flight in advance. So January 18, my flight was booked and it was non-refundable. Non-refundable. And you're gonna hear that term quite a lot throughout this video. Lo and behold, Ariel, she had also created an account so that each day she would check in and look to see if there were any available appointments that actually came up through the Italian embassy. I had completely given up on the Italian embassy because it just seemed so confusing. And I was like, I'm going through France, then go to Italy. That was a new plan. However, on February 2nd, 8:48 a.m. in the morning, while she was booking tickets to a Beyonce concert, because if you don't know, Beyonce's on a new tour, she is, she woke me up out of my sleep and she's like, there is an appointment that suddenly became available for February 6th. I went online and sure enough, that was the only slot at 10 a.m. that was available for me to actually go. We went over the checklist and everything, and by February 5, the day before the appointment, I was like trying my best to print everything and my printer broke. And an hour before actually going, I realized I was missing an envelope. So I had to end up going all the way to Canada Post and making sure that I got the envelope that needed to go with my documents. So my appointment came and I went straight up there. And I felt like I was asked so many questions and I felt like I didn't convince them one bit about why I wanted to go to Italy. So I came back feeling disappointed, and then I had a whole anxiety attack about this because when I looked up the tracking number for my passport that was now in the hands of the Italian embassy, I realized that it was shipped the same day. Like, it was shipped back to me the same day. And that doesn't normally happen because this is a 14 to 30-day process for you to get that back. And somehow I freaked out and I couldn't even sleep. I even went on a video call with Ariel just so that I could just open it and see what that was like. I thought I got rejected. And after going through the pages, I actually got the visa. Now listen, 8 days after getting the visa, my flight got canceled. My non-refundable flight got canceled. It got canceled. Nothing else can go wrong, right? Coming up next, I'm tired. So now I got stopped by immigration in Amsterdam. Honestly, we tried. At this point, I'm so nervous. She is 4 minutes away. We are currently attempting to rebook you.